Breaking news now on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And now at 6, we are following 3 breaking news stories across the state tonight, from a shooting in the capital city to an apartment fire to a car crash involving a restaurant. Good evening and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Symphony Privet. Let's start with that shooting here in Hartford. Police say it happened around 3 this afternoon on Sigourney Street. They say a man was shot and is in critical condition tonight. Police say they were able to find the shooter's vehicle thanks to city cameras. Now, they tried stopping it, but it took off. Police were able to puncture the tires of the car before it got on I-84 West, and they were able to finally stop the vehicle near exit 44. You see that long backup there on the interstate. A driver and passenger were taken into custody. A gun was also found in the car.
And to Southington now, where firefighters are still at home on Aircraft Road after it caught fire, and that's where we find Fox 61's Stefan Reels. Stefan, what are you learning tonight?
Well, the scene has definitely calmed down from what everything was like this morning, but you can see right behind me, people are boarding up what really is left of this apartment complex, which was really only renovated just a few months ago, but no one is being allowed to spend the night here as crews still try to figure out what was the exact cause of the fire this afternoon. One of the people who was living here told me that they actually saw someone running out shortly after the fire started, just covered in soot. This video that you're seeing on your screen right now is what we saw when we first got to the scene this afternoon, where several local fire departments were called to help address this fire. Now, while Southington Fire Chief Richard Jones told me no one was hurt, they still had to rescue 2 people who lived here, and they were taken to the hospital. Luckily, they are in good condition at the moment. However, a lot of people, like I said at the top of this, they're not being allowed to spend the night here.
At this point, I don't believe they will be allowed in this evening, but I don't know that. The building department is on scene. I know they've contacted our social services to help those if they aren't allowed to get back in. There are at least a couple of apartments that probably will not be able to be inhabited today.
And I had the chance to catch up with a couple of the people who lived here, and they said that they're currently on the phone and waiting a response from the American Red Cross to help figure out what their next plans are going to be because, like I said, they're not really going to be having a lot of access to their apartment, at least for tonight. But of course, we're going to be trying to stay on top of this and give you updates as they come. But for now, live in Southington, Stefan Reels, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Stefan, thank you. To Torrington now, where this afternoon a car drove into a bakery on Main Street. And in fact, crews just removed the car from the building.
Now, this happened at the Puerto Rico restaurant and bakery. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson has the latest.
Yeah, guys, if you're driving through Torrington, it's at the intersection of Main Street and Pearl Street. You will be greeted to quite a disturbing scene as approximately 11:45 a.m. this morning, a car drove through this building. It was in there pretty deep, and crews kind of got rid of that car. They towed it away a little earlier, as well as some of that debris that was here. There was some glass here. It was very, very dangerous scene. So anybody walking through, definitely be careful. Anybody driving through, definitely be careful. And police since released a statement regarding the crash, and they said that 3 people were injured along with the driver. They're not disclosing the seriousness or non-seriousness of those injuries. I did speak with a police officer earlier. He said that he feels like those injuries aren't life-threatening or anything like that, so that is good. As well as I tried to speak with some few homeowners around the area. Nobody saw anything. Nobody really knows what happened, but if you do, Torrington police definitely wants you to reach out if you have any surveillance video, any ring camera footage that will aid their investigation into what happened here. Please reach out to the Torrington police. In Torrington, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Jamel, thank you. And you'll find more coverage of all these breaking stories on our free Fox 61 app. Use the QR code there on your screen or download it or go to fox61.com.
Already on to the weather front now. Another nice day outside. We had a beautiful sunset, but one thing is for sure, It is a chilly start to the weekend out there.
Now get used to that. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us now. Rach, it's going to be cool for a while, huh?
Yeah, this is the new norm for us here. We've got temperatures that will be in the 30s this weekend, both days, and overnight lows will be in the teens. So that's heading into Saturday morning and Sunday morning. But that's par for the course. It's December and something that, yeah, we just got to kind of get used to. Temperatures right now are in the 20s for most of the state, near 30 for the New Haven area. There's a little bit of a breeze, and that is knocking the temperature or the wind chill down into the teens for some areas. So that's what you kind of need to dress for if you're out here on a Friday night. By the news at 11, temperatures are in the mid-20s, and I think most of the state, with the exception of the immediate shoreline, will fall back into the teens as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. But tomorrow we are looking at cool sunshine, a nice winter weekend, highs in the mid to upper 30s as we head through the afternoon. We are dry heading into tomorrow night. And then on Sunday, I think we start the day off with sunshine, but then we'll see increasing clouds as we head through the afternoon. And that'll be as our next disturbance approaches. And even though we got to get through the weekend first, I did want to give you a heads up. Late Sunday night after midnight into early on Monday morning, and this might even be before sunrise, there could be a brief wintry mix. We're going to talk more about that, plus another rainstorm for next week coming up in just a bit.
Rachel, thank you. Still no arrests after a man was shot in Hartford last night. That man is still in critical condition now. It happened at 9 last night on New Britain Avenue. Police were called by neighbors after a fight broke out between the victim and another person, and those shots were fired. The shooter has not been found. Police have surveillance footage of the fight, and the investigation continues tonight.
Gone, but not forgotten. Friends, family, and the people of Hartford say final goodbye to former Mayor Thurman Milner. He died at the age of 91 last month. Milner broke political barriers. He wasn't only the first black mayor of Hartford, but the first black mayor in all of New England. His funeral was this afternoon at the Metropolitan AME Zion Church on Main Street. After the service, a hearse carried Milner back to City Hall. It made 3 stops, first at City Hall, then at the state capitol, and then at the Thurman Milner School. The hearse paused at each stop for 91 seconds. Milner was then buried at Spring Grove Cemetery in Hartford's North End.
And we now know the name of the person killed in a small plane crash in Greenwich. Officials say Jacob Friedman of Muncie, New York, was a passenger in the plane when it crashed on I-684 last night. The pilot of the plane was taken to a hospital for minor injuries. The cause of the crash is under investigation now.
You may have heard about drone sightings in other states, but now they have made their way to Connecticut. State police have deployed a drone detection system to help with these investigations. Right now, that is set up in the Groton, New London area. Now, Senator Richard Blumenthal is now calling for a briefing on the recent drone activity. He sent a letter to several federal agencies to address safety and security concerns. In a statement, he says, in part, quote, "I am particularly concerned about the potential for these unmanned aerial vehicles, many of which are as large as a car, to disrupt air traffic and, more alarmingly, to be used maliciously to threaten national security," end quote.
A consulting firm has agreed to pay $650 million to settle an investigation into its work to help opioid manufacturer Purdue Pharma. Stanford-based Purdue paid McKinsey & Company more than $93 million over 15 years for several products, including how to improve revenue from OxyContin. Prosecutors say McKinsey knew the risks and dangers of OxyContin and knew that Purdue Pharma executives had previously pleaded guilty to crimes related to the promotion of the drug, but decided to work with the opioid manufacturer anyway.